right, welcome to episode 9 for the Unwrapped Leader, where we get raw, real, and relevant on the new network marketing and how to become a gifted leader in your business. Today, our episode is around mindset recruiting. So I'm really excited to be sharing this with you. But just before, I would love to recap from our last episode on going to convention and having a lollipop moment, just because our gorgeous Teisha has just gotten back from her very own convention. So, Teisha, why don't you give us your lollipop moments from convention?
Yeah, definitely. I had such a great time. I got to spend time with my team and I guess my lollipop moments, sweet moments, highlights, whatever you want to call them. For one, I did take your advice. I brought lollipops to conference and I'm going to show you guys what I did. I went above and beyond. I wrote the cutest, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, on the lollipops, I put this little note. I'm trying to like zoom in here. And it just says, enjoy your time at SipCon. That's the name of our conference. And let it be sweet for you. And then I put hashtag lollipop moments, and then I put my name on the bottom so they would remember me. And then I also made some for my team as well. And I challenged them. I gave each of them 3. I put their names on the bottom. And I actually challenged them to go meet 3 new people, at least 3 new people. I told them I have extra lollipops if you want. Introduce yourself, give them a lollipop. And then, I explained to some people too what the lollipop moment was. And I also, encourage them to go listen to that TED Talk on YouTube. So that was fun. It brought a smile to everyone's face and the team had a good time with it. I actually had a fun surprise as well. When I got to my conference, I thought I was only going, there's going to be 4 of us. And then the day we were leaving our hotel to go, another one showed up. I was surprised. She ran and gave me a hug. And I was looking at the other girls. I'm like, look, guys, she's here. And they're like, we know, we were lying to you. So they were all trying to surprise me with the entrance of one of my teammates who was the whole time she was telling me, I can't go. And I'm like, oh, we're going to miss you. And then she showed up. So there ended up being 5 of us there. And we had such a great time, team bonding. Most of us were in the same room. We did team dinners, we did some lunches, we sat together in the live studio audience, and I was able to be a guest speaker at this one. And as well, I got to hear from a guest speaker. His name is Brock Johnson, and he's a social media expert. Me and Dracy have both been following him for some time, getting some really great tips from him. I actually have his course, so hearing from him and just all the tips that he had when it comes to social media and putting out lead-worthy content was amazing to just hear him. And as well as that, of course, the awards, the recognition, those were amazing moments. I loved seeing my team get recognized. And then also, we had this amazing head office tour that we actually got to see our facility. We got to see where all of like the products with our company, how it's made right in the house. And we got to do so many fun little things together there. It was just an all around busy weekend, but very, very fun weekend. So I could actually share do you want me to share some of my awards that
Oh, well, I was just going to say that.
got?
I was literally just going to say that I know that it was amazing for you. It's so exciting. It puts an extra pep in your step. So tell us a little bit more about the awards that you did get.
So this is the best award that I received over the weekend. And it was the one that made me the most happy. And I have my plaques here actually that they gave me. So if you're watching on YouTube, you could see them. But this one was top 5 for Central Group Volume, which is essentially my team was actually named number 4 in Canada in the whole company for our team volume. So the team awards mean the most to me because I know that it's making an impact and that we're growing as a team. So we got to get a team award, which was amazing. And as well as seeing my team recognized. I had 2 leaders there who were recognized for their leadership ranks over the last year. So one of them had they both promoted to a leader, one and one above that. They got a senior leader award. So seeing them recognized, as well as one of my newbies. She is like, I think, just like months into the company. And she went through we have this 90-day success start program, and she crushed it. She did all the events that that was on there. She earned all their awards, and anyone who completes that program gets recognized. So I got to see one of my new girls get recognized, which was so awesome. And then just some personal ones. There's excellence awards. So I had a 50 plus events award. So just from like hosting little parties and stuff. And having, the little tea parties online and home, those all count for those. And then another one is the bonus club. And this is actually one that I got number one in my company with. And this is when you bonus okay, sorry, I'm throwing them on the ground. You could probably hear them all. But when you bonus like every single month, it's an amount of sales you have to do every month. And if you do that for the whole year, you're in the bonus award. But I've actually been doing it consecutively for 48 months. So I was recognized as the longest going bonuser in the company. And I was not expecting that. I didn't even know what number I was at. I wasn't counting that. So that was, to me, very exciting to hear that. I did my 25K personal volume. So a sales award there. And then lastly, this is top 10 personal sponsoring, which is like another word for recruiting in the company. So that's actually what we're talking about all today is recruiting mindset. So I actually got top 5, it says top 10, but I got number 5 in the company for recruiting. So, and then of course, sorry, this is like this. Honestly, I feel so awkward talking about these awards.
Keep going.
But the last one, this one is one that I worked very, very hard towards. I was 1 in 4 people out of the company to get this. And it's the most prestigious club in the company called the President's Club. So they gave us these really cute wallets and just with the little branding on the bottom with the company name and just a cute little wallet. So it's the President's Club where we get to have monthly meetings and talk all about the company and what's coming up and just basically have a voice in the direction and where everything's going. So that's my 3rd year in the President's Club and just super excited to collaborate with the best of the best and for really, really great terms. So those are all my highlights and awards and just all the amazing fun things that happened at the conference this past weekend.
Teisha, thank you so much for sharing all that. And a huge, huge congratulations. You know, it gladdens my heart to see you achieving, and it gladdens my heart to see you paying it forward, to see your leaders now getting the awards and seeing that. And that truly is an unwrapped leader. You've definitely become a gifted leader, and just you shining on stage like that proves it to them and to our audience that you are, leading by example, especially like something like Bonus Club. In the company we call it our 300 Club, and it's consistent, doing it 12 months, every month you get to be a part of our club. And so it just really shows consistency, and it really shows leading by example. So a huge congratulations. So pushing for 50. Let's celebrate when you hit your 50th month. So absolutely.
Yes.
I know also you were asked to be a guest speaker, and the topic was on the mindset of recruiting. So I know recruiting, for me, I know it is like kind of like in the yeast that rises the bread. If you do not recruit in your business, you are not going to rise at all. And so really, there's a lot of mindset around it. A lot of people have it. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be one of those. And the whole mindset has always kind of come around that. And granted, I understand why people think that way. They don't want to be perceived as something that they're not. But what they miss out is the amazing gift that this business is, and the gift of the opportunity. And so, can you share a little bit about that? Because I just know it made a major impact. And then let's really unwrap the mindset of recruiting. So share with us, please.
Yeah, so I did get to be a guest speaker at the conference, and my topic was all about recruiting mindset, which is what inspired this episode, actually, because we wanted to discuss a little bit about it and also just dive a little bit deeper into some of the things that I talked about. So I spoke live on set at the Living Arts Center in Toronto. It was really cool. It was like a live studio audience. So think of like the Ellen show. That's what I kind of remember it as. It has like the theater with all the seats going down and a whole like setup crew and camera crew. There was like, it's actually very intimidating. There's like 10 cameras on every single angle. And I got to watch other teammates as well talk on the set, and it's always changing angles. Like, it looks so professional. So it was very intimidating. And to be honest, this was my first time speaking in 3 years. So I was so nervous. The first time I spoke was at my very first conference. We talked about that in last episode. And I was also terrified for that. But this one just seemed so much more intimidating. And because I haven't done it for a long time, I actually got really stressed out about it. I over prepared myself. I over stressed myself. And it was almost like those feelings when I first started my business coming back. But I just told myself, I need to do this. If I'm doing it in fear, I'm doing it in fear, but I got to face it, because the more I practice, the better I'm going to get at it. So I just did it. And I think the whole time I was shaking. And to be honest, at one point, during my session, I actually like froze for a few seconds, but I regrouped and I got back to it. And I did get a lot of compliments after, so I feel okay about it. But that whole day was actually very stressful for me. So I just want to put that out there, because I think a lot of people told me, you were speaking with such confidence about it. And I didn't see that in myself. Honestly, I wasn't sure how that was taken at the end. But we all go through those emotions. We all have the tough times, and it definitely came back to me and just made me so sweaty and everything. My whole body, like I think my stomach was aching most of the day, because I just at first scared to do it. And then afterwards, I'm like, how was it taken? Right. So all those thoughts were like starting to come back again, but I did it. I just said, I could do hard things. I did it before, I could do it again. And I know that this is a step in my business, and every opportunity that comes my way, I just say yes and I do it. I figure it out later. If I don't know, if I feel like I need to know something before I do it, I just do it anyways, and I figure it out after. So just a few things I spoke on that we'll be talking a little bit about today too, was just building up the courage to have those recruiting mindset conversations, how to do that, shifting your mindset when you're even talking about recruiting, because it's so easy to think of recruiting as like, oh, it's a favor to me, what's in it for me? But really you want to think about what's in it for them, and also what to do when no one seems interested. We all have that thought at one point. We go through it where it's like, okay, we had a great month and now, no one seems interested. What do we do? And also when you're new to the industry, right? Thinking that you have to have it all figured out before starting. How do you do that when you're just getting started? So that's kind of the topics that I covered when I spoke at my conference. And we're going to share a few questions with you and kind of get a little bit of Dracy's side too. So that's going to be good.
Woo! Wow. And isn't it amazing? Because you just, again, I listen to you and it just obviously triggers a lot of my emotions that I have. And that's what it really is about when we do new things for the first time. It's the emotions that it triggers. It's the scary ones, to the butterfly moments, like just the transformation of emotions. But it's just so fantastic. You had made the mindset, you're just going to work through those emotions. You're just going to say yes. And each experience does get better. And it comes down to that story you play in your head. Right? And that was the story. Totally. Again, what story do you choose to play in your head, in them? So let's just kind of talk about recruiting mindset when we first got into the business. Okay. When you very first got into the business, what was the mindset you had around recruiting? And I'll be happy to share mine. So why don't you go first? What was the mindset you had?
You know exactly what my mindset was like when I got started. But when I did get started, I had very small expectations for my business. I just became passionate about the product, knew I loved it, got started kind of for the discount. I knew there was a possibility of making some income with it. I saw Dracy do it. I saw my mom do it. And they're both making, my mom was making a supplement income on top of her job. Dracy was doing this full time. So I knew it was possible, but I didn't know it was possible for me. So I had pretty small expectations. And when Dracy first approached me, asking me if I'd be interested in building a team and getting started with maybe trying to recruit and build my team up, I was actually opposed to it. And I was experiencing the things that I feel like everyone does. I'm going to be pushy. I'm going to be annoying. And that was my mindset when I got started. I'm just naturally I am introverted and shy. And now I actually considered myself, say, extroverted introvert. I love meeting people, but I still do, like I said before, that that presentation I did this past weekend, I still got all the emotions, like, oh my gosh, like the negative thoughts that run through your head, like people are not going to like what I have to say. How are people going to take it? Right. It's just those thoughts that run through your head. So it's still kind of, I still have those inside of me, but I learned to overcome my fear. And I know my passion is going to push through all those fear barriers in my business. So at first I was hesitant in recruiting. I was not confident in recruiting. So when I started, that's what my mindset was when I started. So what about you?
Well, mine was exactly the opposite. And that is only because I had already seen enough people driving pink Cadillacs and had full-time incomes. And because I had made the decision that I wasn't going to be a pilot and that I gave up getting my license so I can be home with my daughter, that I needed to do something full-time that was going to keep me home. So I knew that the industry had that gift for me. but I had to find the right company that was going to work for me. So I went out there and I actively looked for a company that had a track record and a company that was part of the Direct Sellers Association, a company that had success stories within it. And so when I did my first interview with my upline, I made her show me a paycheck. Like I was a tough nutter. And so she showed me a paycheck. And I think at the time it was like $3,400 for 1 week. And she was apologizing for it for being a low one because it was in February. And so to me, I just want to see $1,000 a week. To me, I thought that gave the credibility of $1,000 a week. And she showed it to me, and she had made like $101,000 in her first full year of business. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be a sponge. I'm going to do what it takes. And that was to go out there and recruit. So was get started recruiting. So I was like a racehorse out of the gate. But my experience was, yes, I got all these people excited about joining the business. And I can give you solid examples. I had like 6 people that said, yes, they want to get started, even got 4 starter kits in their hand. And all 6 of them changed their mind. So tell me what I did wrong. So maybe did I overtalk it? I overthought it. I'm not quite sure. But all I know is that I tried to do that on my own with raw enthusiasm. And in the end, I knew I needed to have my upline and learn a few set of skills. So my mindset was right, but it was the skills that I needed to get through that. So that's kind of what my experience was. And a little example, a story I'm going to share with you. We were talking about becoming a rock star recruiter. Ultimately. And let's talk about really what a rock star is. A rock star is someone who took the time to learn a really great song, took the time to learn a really great set list, like a presentation. And let's put it that in our one. And what did they do? They had to do one show at a time. Just think of before a rock star is actually on stage, how many presentations or how many shows did they have to do before people took notice of them? And they had to travel to make it happen. And it takes some people, it's taken years before they've gotten rock star status, and some, if not, haven't even got that. But just think of what we have to do to be a rock star. We have to really practice a presentation, and we have to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. So that's kind of when the mentality went from that mindset that I had to start practicing, the skills, and I had to get the right language in there. And as well, the enthusiasm, of course, was always number one. So that's where I had to go from, what's the word from, what was the word that we had used in here to go
winging
it to working it. Okay. And so that was kind of my journey. Why don't you talk about yours on how you went from winging it to working it there, Teisha?
Sure. I just want to make one comment though. Like it's crazy when you talk about your journey and mine, like they're very different, right? And it's just sometimes we like when we're looking at recruiting, we think that success sometimes only is, means one thing, like making a lot of money in the business, but we don't see that success is different to so many different people. For me, I wanted free products. I wanted discounted products. You were like, I was asking to see the paychecks. I was looking at the numbers. I didn't care about the numbers. I didn't even look at the comp plan before I got started because my definition of success was so different. So I think it's so important to be open about that when we're looking to recruit and build our team. Find out what they are wanting to get out of it so we could respond properly, right? And you were saying, you were saying too, those conversations, where did I go wrong? And like, I used to word vomit on people. I used to just tell them everything. And then I have to remember, like, if someone would have told me all the numbers in the comp plan, I would have been gone. I would have been like lost, overwhelmed. But some people want to hear that. So like more about, listening more than, vomiting on them, every possible thing you could tell them.
And that would have been those first 6. All I would have talked about was the 6-figure income. All I would have talked about was how to start recruiting. So I would have done that to those 6 people versus listening to them and finding out what they wanted out of the business and then just showing them how to get that. And that's what my upline obviously showed us in that sense. So excellent. Okay, tell me more. Tell me how you went from that winging it to working it.
Yeah, for sure. So when I got started, there was only 2 things I knew. I knew I loved the product. I knew I loved sharing it. And as I said, when you asked me about building a team, recruiting, I wasn't into it. I didn't think I was.
Hey, trust me, I remember.
Yeah, you remember. But yeah, there was only 2 things I knew. So those are the 2 things that I stuck with: loving the product, using the product, and sharing the product. And so what happened is obviously I was very passionate about it. I loved it. I wanted to get it at a discount. That was my goal at the time. But passion is very attractive. When you see someone loving what they do, like for example, when you're when you're in school and you have a teacher who is so passionate about the topic, like those are your like for me anyways, that's my favorite teachers, the people who are so passionate about what they're doing. And one of my favorite teachers in high school, it was actually a subject that I did quite bad at. It was a science. I was never great at science and my mark was not great in that class, but she was my favorite teacher because I knew how passionate she was about it. She wanted to help me. She wanted to make an impact. She would meet with me at lunch hour so she could help me better understand it because I didn't understand. Like I took a lot for me to really learn and like embed something in my head. So those were my favorite people, are the people who are passionate about it. And that's what I was with my business. So people started becoming attracted to me. So that's when I really started getting into building my team and recruiting. And so this whole time I thought I wasn't ready, but the truth is you're never going to be ready. You're going to be ready when you actually get started. And when you get started, that's when you're going to learn, because you learn by teaching. And that was something I learned in university when I think it was a prof that told me, if you want to do well on a test and you want to, retain information, read your notes as if you're teaching it to somebody else. So that's what I would do. I would write out my notes. I would have it in my room. I would pretend to have a crowd, but really it was just me and my bed and my curtains, my closet. And I would just talk and say it like I was teaching it. And that's how I learned best. So when I got started in leadership and when people started to be, people started asking me questions and people wanted to join my team, and I was just winging it. I didn't know what I was doing. I just focused on the two things that I loved, sharing the product and enjoying the product myself. And so that's what started to happen. People are attracted to the passion. So now after that, I got so motivated. I was so hungry to just learn more about it. So I started, getting more into it. I would read books on recruiting. I loved Mary Christensen's book on Become a Recruiting Superstar. She also has Become a Network Marketing Superstar. But the first one I got was a recruiting one because I was like, I'm going straight to this. This is my goal this year. And I read her book and I thought it was incredible. So I read books. I worked one-on-one with my mentor, which was Dracy, of course. And I also seeked out other mentorship opportunities too. I looked for free trainings on YouTube. I looked for blog posts. I subscribed to people's newsletters that would come in every week so I could learn new tips. And all those things I was learning, I then started teaching to my team as well. And by teaching it to my team, I was learning even more, because that's how you learn best, is when you're teaching others. So that's how I really went from that winging it to working it, was just being more intentional, learning so much through books, mentorships, seeking out the information, and making a commitment to myself too, that I'm going to go and look into this information every day. I'm going to take 30 minutes to do some, research or professional development on recruitment. And then I implemented those strategies. I didn't just study them, I implemented them. So that's the important thing, is taking action and just being intentional about it. One little tip I will give, one of the first things I learned is to not prejudge people, because that's one of the things people do that's kind of psychs them out of recruiting, is that I can't ask that person because they're a doctor, they have a beautiful car, they're never going to want to do something like this, right? A little side hustle. And we kind of put it off as like something little and not important. But one of the top person in my company, the top, just the top person, top rank, she's a lawyer. Yeah. She's a full-time lawyer. She has 3 kids. She's busy and she's still a lawyer, and she's at our top right. Like, isn't that crazy? You think that someone like that wouldn't be interested in something like this, but that was one of the things I learned just from doing my own research. Maybe it was Dracy that told me. Honestly, I don't know. I've been a sponge, so I'm just learning so much information. But that's what I did. I just made the commitment to become intentional about it.
Ooh, I love that, intentional about it. And you used the word that I used. I just decided I was going to be a sponge. I just did whatever my upline told me. Yeah. She was earning the figure, she was earning the income I wanted to earn. I just did what she had told me to do. So it wasn't until she actually held my hand and took me, and we did our first interview together. Her name was Luella, and I still remember to this day. She was like a grandma back then, but now she's like, I still consider that, but that was my very first recruit, and I was being helped and listening and doing what I was told in that business. And, it evolves, it changes, and that's just what I was committed to do. The other one is, then I really worked on selling my position. And so I became that, I wanted to look like, this is so much fun. Well, I shouldn't say I want to look. It was so much fun. So everything I did was, again, intentional. So I became more attractive, that people wanted to do what I did. But there was probably 3 things that I really invested myself into. And that was understanding the different personality types. And the other one was understanding the different love languages. And then, of course, the different network marketing styles. So when I kind of invested into people, learning skills, listening skills, that really helped me become the recruiter that I am today. In the business I did. And just to share as my little, impress upon you, doing what I was told to do, I had earned $111,000 my first full year of business doing what she told me to do. Again, being open to what she wanted me to do. So imagine if you did what you were told to do, but anyway, that's probably where we were at on that. So let's go. Should we give them the tips, the 4 tips that we have on building a recruiting mindset?
Yeah, we're going to end with the 4 tips. So the first tip that I gave during my presentation was just talking about how this industry is a gift and really realizing that. I mean, this is what our whole book is about, how this industry is just a gift waiting to be unwrapped. So when you have that in your mind, when you are recruiting and building your team, you want to talk to them as in what is in it for them and not for you. Focus on them always. They want to know what's in it for them. So know what you have to offer, know that what you have is a gift, and don't make that decision for them. Why are you deciding for them if they get to accept this gift or not, right? And little things like just prejudging. Sometimes we make that decision for them, but we don't realize that's what we're doing. But you have such a gift to offer. So just when you focus on the impact and you really have that belief system that what you have to offer is incredible, that's when you can go into recruiting with a strong mindset, is just remembering how big of a gift this industry is. So that's my tip number 1. Do you have anything you would add to that before we go on to 2?
Well, I think the big thing, like you said, is not to prejudge. And when you make that part of your philosophy, and I made this, and again, thanks to my upline, we cultivated my philosophy very early in my career. And my philosophy was not to prejudge, not to compare myself to anybody, and to always doing my best. And I found when I had that philosophy of those 3 simple things, it always allowed me to do the right thing to recruit and have an amazing journey. And people who may have said no now, a year or 2 down the road, ended up joining my team because I created what we called is a relationship. And they weren't ready then.
Wow.
And it was, like, imagine that. It's versus I try to recruit them, they don't want to do it, so I don't talk to them anymore. Like, that's kind of like how people think, oh my God, and they do. It's back in the day when I was really invested into the field that way, they said it takes about 4 touch points till somebody says yes. Well, now it's like about 12, 13 touch points. And that's why our branding on Instagram is so powerful. Those little impressions, the seeds that you plant. Like today, like I did a reel on just my daily regime, on my supplements that I have. And a certain family member reached out to me saying, like, it's time and I just want to have some good stuff. Again, that was a seed plant. She already knew what I did. And I sent her husband product like 2 years ago when he had gotten an accident, and I know how fast it would help in his healing. And she visited me for a week. And what do you think we had every day? But it was still, she wasn't ready. But see, it's these seeds you plant, the relationship you have. And that's what recruiting is all about. Constantly selling your position, invest into the relationship, and not to prejudge. It'll happen. It's a gorgeous thing.
Yep.
So going to number 2, tip number 2, is changing your focus from recruit to partnership. Stop thinking you're looking for recruits and start looking that you're looking for partnerships. And that's what it is. You happen to be the senior partner, they're the junior partner. It's much like your friend that's a lawyer, and that there's a senior lawyer, that there's the juniors that come in and they work with the senior lawyers. And that's what our partnership is about, is teaching and educating and finding out what they want, and that they're part of a community. And so when you put your focus that you're growing a community, and you need all the different colors and personalities in that community to make it a great community, and you really create a community where they get to want to invest into themselves and as well learn and grow together. They want to be a part of what you have. And so it turns recruiting into something much more exciting when you see it as a partnership and using the language about looking for a partner. You want to be partnered with people in this business. And so that changes your mindset too, just in that sense. All right, number 3, what's yours?
I need to add one thing to that.
Please do, please.
I love the idea of partnership. And that was the big shift that I actually made in my business when my team started to explode. At first, I was wondering, why is it only me recruiting on my team? How come no one else wants to do it? And it's because I wasn't giving anyone that opportunity to step up as a leader. But when we started doing more like collective team events and identifying the different talents on my team, asking them to train something, asking them to be part of our trainings, our meetings, and just getting everyone more involved. That's when my team really exploded. So looking at people as partners, as equals, not as followers or your downline, right? Like we use those terms, followers and downline, but don't look at it like that when you're actually doing the recruiting. So I love that tip. That was so great.
And that's part of mindset. Again, shifting our mindset to the fact that the collaboration and the community is what's going to create the growth in your business. And again, that's all part of that mindset in there.
Training the brain. So this is one I talked about during my talk on the weekend too. And this is training the brain to have a strong mindset when there's something in your business, a circumstance that happens that you maybe look at as negative and you have negative thoughts about it. So I'll give an example on this. But one thing I'll say is, so say something, an example, what I mentioned earlier, it seems like no one's interested in what I have to offer. So in order for you to think that, something had to have happened in your business. So I could sit here and give you guys a list of excuses of why this is happening. Like, oh, it's just a slow month, or don't worry, it's happening to other people too. Or, you could list off so many excuses, but if you're doing that, you're just becoming part of the problem. But if you want to become part of the solution, you need to shift your mindset and train your brain to develop a stronger mindset when situations like this happen in your business. So an example could be, maybe you develop that mindset because there were 10 people that you talked to this month about your business opportunity. Not one of them said yes. They all kind of said, no, we're not right now, or whatever, right? So in your head, you're like, no one seems interested, but that's just a story you're telling yourself. And because you're telling yourself that story, you're having kind of negative thoughts. And when you have negative thoughts, those thoughts affect your actions, and you're not going to go on to take action in your business when you're thinking those things. So when you have a situation like that, where you have 10 people saying no, you have to train your brain to develop a strong mindset in that situation. And maybe tell yourself something like, I just talked to 10 people. They all said no, but statistically 1 in 10 people who I talk to are going to sign with me, give or take, which means you're so close to getting that next recruit on your team, to bringing in that new team member. And what I like to tell my team too is that a no is not a failure. A no is actually a win for you. When you're getting a no from someone who isn't interested in your business, like this isn't going to be for everybody, right? It's like another example I gave over the weekend too was like, you can bring out the most amazing banana split. It could have the chocolate ice cream, the vanilla ice cream, the strawberry ice cream, the chocolate sauce, the toppings, the whipped cream. It could be the most amazing banana split. It might be the most amazing one in the world. But if I go give it to someone who doesn't like bananas, they don't care if it's the most amazing banana split in the world. It is not for them. And that is okay. That's not a reflection of you. That is their decision, and that is okay. So when you could train the brain to not take things like that personally and just say, I'm so close to getting my next recruit. 10 people said no. My next one is right around the corner. 1 in every 10 signed. You're going to be motivated. You know what? Like I said, a no is a win in your business because you don't have to, spend time and energy anymore thinking, should I follow up with them? Are they still interested? You could focus your time and energy on people who are interested, people who there's people out there that are interested. Trust me, there's people out there that want what you have. So when you could focus change your mindset to that, and you start developing positive thoughts rather than negative ones over a neutral circumstance, something that is not negative in your business, you made it negative. But if you can make it positive, you are going to go on to perform, to actually take action in your business, to do something positive, to do something amazing. So when you could train the brain, any kind of situation that comes into your head where you're saying something like that, no one's interested or no one wants to buy, find a way to turn that into something positive, because then that's what's going to cause you to actually take action in your business. So that's tip number 3. That made the hugest difference in my business when I started doing that.
And I'm going to give you 2 tips to tips number 3. Do you see this on my wrist?
Here we go.
Okay. For those of you that are Apple or listening on our podcast, it's actually an elastic band. And this is something that part of my train the brain and all the meetings or events I've done, I've always give everybody an elastic band when they walk in the room. And because every time you have a negative thought or you say something negative, you want to snap it out of you. So it's just a little reminder of having positive thoughts, and then catching somebody that might say something negative, you get to go and snap it out of them as well. So that was a really good, helpful one on training the brain. The other one, though, is, again, coming to mindful practice on a daily basis. And people talk about meditation, they talk about prayer, or whatever they need to do to get themselves into the state. which will allow them to help them with their story and create their strategy. But that state that you want to get yourself into, especially doing the mindset of recruiting, is get yourself standing with your two legs apart and with your hands on your hip, just like the Wonder Woman pose. Okay, so you do your Wonder Woman pose and you tell yourself, give yourself 3 really great affirmations. The 3 that I'm just saying off the top of my head might not be relevant to you, but like, I'm just going to say them right now. My hands are my hips. I'm standing up like Wonder Woman and saying, I am a recruiting rock star, and I am a money magnet, and I am a superstar sponsor, however it is. But find your 3 magic statements for yourself and create your Wonder Woman pose and get yourself in that state. And when you do that enough times, you're definitely going to get into the right story and strategy to make this actually happen. So that was me building on your number 3. Okay, number 4.
Love it.
Number 4, again, is coming down to our focus. And that focus that you should have is technically on your daily disciplines, your daily activities. And if you focus on those activities and see it's based on activities, not results, those activities will get you the results. And so again, what are your daily disciplines? What are your double D's for the day? And so does it build your business, and does it make you money? And recruiting to me is always about building your business, and will make you the big time dollars in this industry, and you will be rewarded for the paycheck on your heart. So that would be my biggest thing on what is your focus? And just a little sample as an example to support what Teisha is saying as well is if you take an actual dice, like take a little dice and just say number 1 is the magic 1. Okay, that's your number 1 that you're looking for. And if you gave everybody a dice and you got them to roll it, some may get a number 1 straight off, but some may have to roll it 3 or 4 times, or may even take 6 or 7 times, but they will get that 1. I challenge every one of you, next time you see a dice, go and try to roll a 1 and see how many times it takes. And that's what recruiting is about. But even though it may take you some time, don't forget about the people who said no for now. It just might be no for now, or they just don't know enough. Anything you wanted to add to those tips there, Teisha?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it's so important to just fall in love with the process, because that's the most important part. If you're, only focused on the result, that's when a negative mindset comes in, is when you're just focused on the result, because it's going to be different every time, just like the dice that you roll. So closing it up now, those were great tips. And I just want you guys to remember that your mindset is your biggest asset in this business. You can have all the skills in the world, but if your mindset is not there, if you don't have a good attitude coming into it, the skills don't matter. So strengthen your mindset, take these tips, see what you could do with them, and let us know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. And if also you guys have any mindset tips that you guys use, please share them below. We'd love to hear them. So make sure you do give this video a like. If you're watching on YouTube, share your takeaways, and also share with your teams if you feel that this is something that your team has struggled with, was that recruiting mindset. And I think that's pretty much it. Get on the wait list for the book. We're still working towards it. We hope we have a date for you really, really soon. But other than that, thank you guys so much for listening in on episode 9 of the Unwrapped Leader Podcast. And we'll see you next week with a new episode. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.